Welcome back to Van Blam. It's Q&A time. A lot of the questions I got this time have to do with the Triumph Speed Twin 1200, which is understandable because I own one and have posted many videos about it. I never intended to be known as just Mr. Speed Twin, but a lot of people do think of me that way, so naturally I got several questions about it, and I've grouped them all here at the beginning of the list. Kicking things off, Matt P. asks, "Great content, VB. Thank you. Is the Speed Twin a keeper for you? I couldn't part with mine." The Speed Twin is a keeper for me in the sense that I do not currently have plans to get rid of it. But will I keep this bike forever? No. Don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying every minute with it for the time being. I like that it has loads of character at every minute of every ride, all the performance I'm brave enough to use and then some, and with my mods, enough everyday usability to serve as my daily driver, which it has for most of the time I've owned it. But if my needs or desires ever changed, or if I were to have a multi-bike stable that covered all those bases I named and the Speed Twin just became redundant, yeah, I'm not too attached to it to sell it on in that case. Especially if doing so enabled me to buy something else that suits my future needs better. While I have made some really special memories on my bike, that doesn't make me feel any sort of obligation to keep it around regardless of whether or not doing so made sense. But like I said, I have no intention of parting with my Speed Twin anytime soon. Next up, Santiago Lopez asks, "What's your favorite upgrade you've done to the Triumph?" I've been pretty selective with the mods I've made to my bike, so while there aren't that many to choose from, it does make it hard to pick a winner. I would say I have 2 runners-up and 1 favorite. The first runner-up is the exhaust, which, you remember earlier when I said that this bike oozes character at every minute of every ride? This is why. The Akrapovic slip-ons and the Motone X-Pipe with a DNK tune. This setup just makes the Speed Twin so unbelievably entertaining to ride. However, that exhaust, while fantastic, is not strictly necessary. I happily rode 15,000 miles on the stock setup before adding the slip-ons and decat. The other runner-up is the rear sprocket. Stock, it's a 42-tooth sprocket, but I swapped it out for a smaller 39-tooth sprocket, giving it a 1639 setup. This basically makes it feel like the bike grew a 7th gear without sacrificing any acceleration on the bottom end. At my preferred cruising RPM of 4,000 in 6th gear, the bike now goes about 77 miles an hour. That's up from about 72. That makes it much less tiring when riding on the freeway, which unfortunately I need to do pretty often. However, that sprocket is still not the winner because that sort of freeway riding was already perfectly doable on this bike. It just made it easier. As for just one winner though, I think I have to go with the GV Dolomiti 30-liter top case. Adding a lockable trunk to my bike enables me to transport stuff that I never could with my SW Motec Blaze saddlebags. The Blaze bags are great for travel, but they're soft and too oddly shaped for many everyday items. The GV case also gives me a tidy storage solution for my moto camping setup. The top box is the winner over those other two because it actually transformed my motorcycle into a real usable vehicle. There are so many places I go, errands I run, that simply would not be possible without a hard lockable trunk of this size. So to answer your question, GV top box, best mod. Kyle Moore asks, looking at the latest 2025 Plus Speedtwin RS, what would you like to have on your Speedtwin? Or would you just prefer a full swap? I read this question as, what features does the new Speedtwin RS have that I wish my 2019 base Speedtwin had? Or would I rather just trade it in for the new RS? The answer is not a whole lot, because most of the upgrades made to the RS have been performance focused, and my bike already has all the performance that I'm interested in using. The RS has a little more horsepower, slightly better brakes, and the biggest upgrade of all, a premium suspension. But those are all areas where I feel I'm doing just fine. The RS does get a quick shifter, which sounds pretty fun, but it's not really necessary. I would say if there's one thing the Speedtwin RS does have that I wish my bike had, it would be cornering ABS. That's just a no-brainer passive safety feature that can really save your bacon if something unexpected jumps out at you in a blind corner. However, cornering ABS alone is not enough for me to want to trade in my 2019 towards a new RS, especially because that would mean swapping my dual analog clocks for that single split TFT wart Triumph is forcing onto everything. Tom Skeen, regular commenter, nice to see you, asks, my brother is going to begin riding. He wondered if the Speedtwin 900 is suitable for a new rider. In my opinion, I would say no, but I've never ridden one. Thoughts? Beginner bikes tend to be a very touchy subject for a lot of people, and I think there's something that's important to establish before having any sort of conversation about it. Is this a good first motorcycle? Is not the same question as, will I die if I get this as my first motorcycle? And I think a lot of the arguments you see about beginner bikes are between people who aren't trying to answer the same one of those two questions. So to answer both of those questions for you, Tom, will your brother die if he gets a Speedtwin 900 as his first motorcycle? Probably not. With the right training and attitude, most adults can choose to be safe on almost any motorcycle, even as a beginner, especially one with anti-lock brakes and traction control. But is the Speedtwin 900 a good first motorcycle? I don't think so. A good first motorcycle is one that is lighter, less powerful, and cheaper than a Speedtwin 900. A new rider's skills will develop so much more quickly on a lightweight, modestly powered motorcycle than they will on a mid or high capacity bike. It is way too easy to develop bad habits early on if you're preoccupied with managing weight or managing power. Not to mention, most first motorcycles get dropped at least once, which is extra painful on a $10,000 beautiful modern classic. I think if your brother likes the Speedtwin 900, he'd be very well served by a Speed 400. Those have been out for a couple years now, so it shouldn't be too hard to find a used one at an affordable price. Have him develop his skills on one of those for about a year, and then upgrade to the 900. Or the 1200. Another one from Tom Skeen. I noticed you ride in the rain frequently. Share some tips on doing so. Happily. Here are my 3 biggest tips for riding safely in the rain. First, be prepared with waterproof layers. Whether that's riding gear that's waterproof on its own, or extra rain layers like I use. No, getting wet won't kill you, usually, but having that rain barrier to keep your body dry really helps you stay alert and focused. So instead of thinking about the rainwater pooling up inside of your pants, you can think about whether or not that dented Nissan is about to try to run you off the road. Which leads me to my second tip for riding in the rain, riding safely. That just means expanding your margins. Giving yourself more time to brake, taking curves with less lean angle, leaving yourself more room in traffic, and positioning yourself where you're the most visible to other drivers. Those are important aspects of riding safely in any conditions, but in the rain, you have to increase those margins. You gotta remember, not only do your tires have less grip in the wet, so do everyone else's. And my third tip for riding in the rain is to always be on the lookout for what I believe is the biggest threat to motorcycles in the wet, slick spots. Manhole covers, metal plates, shiny oil patches, and of course road paint, particularly the big blocks in pedestrian crosswalks. You already have reduced grip in the rain, but on those slick surfaces, you can't count on having much at all. Watch for slick spots and plot your course around them. Or if you can't do that, try not to do any of your braking, leaning, or hard acceleration on them. Alright, my camera has 32 seconds of memory left. Thank you for all the questions I got this time. There are a couple more where when I started to write down my answers to them, I found myself really interested in what I had to say, so those are going to get dedicated videos sometime soon. Thanks again for watching, and as always, ride safe, and I'll see you next time.
Before I go, I want to give a special thank you to a viewer named Brandon. You may recall in one of my last videos, I mentioned that I accidentally busted my Speed Twin's right front turn signal against a trash bin in my garage. And I asked if any of you had maybe switched over to some aftermarket signals and would be willing to sell me your stock ones so that I could replace mine. I didn't want to go aftermarket myself because I happen to like these big bullet-shaped ones that came on the 2019 North American spec Speed Twins. Brandon was kind enough to send me his, free of any charge other than the condition that I continue putting out videos for you all to enjoy. So, thank you. I really enjoy having a turn signal that's not crooked anymore. But speaking of putting out more videos for you all to enjoy, you may have noticed that the channel's been a little quiet for a couple months, and it's not because I haven't been working on it. I've actually been devoting almost all of my available video hours to one big project that's coming soon. I don't want to give away too much here, but if you're still watching here at the end of the video, that means you're the real Van Fam, so I will give you a little teaser. The big video I've been working on is from a 4-day road trip I took up to Pennsylvania to visit as many ruins and abandoned places as I could. Both taking the trip and editing the video, writing the script for it, has been a fascinating experience. You know I love abandoned places. I took the trip in 2023, spent about 2 months editing it in 2024, and then I just spent the last month editing it again. And I think even at the pace I'm going, I still have over a month of work left to do on it. But I'm really proud of what I've done so far, and I'm really excited to share it with you when it's finished. Anyway, I'm going slow here in the express lane so that you can hear me. I'm going to sign off and pick up the pace. Thanks again for watching, thanks for bearing with me, and ride safe.